When we're confronted with a tree, it's natural for us to turn our gaze upward. We see the trunk thickening, as if it's carrying a strong life force. We see the branches and leaves of its crown reaching up to the sky. Millennia ago, trees made of bronze and stone were created, which took root and flourished in the realm of human culture. In southwest China, in the plateau region upstream of the river Minjiang, resides one of China's oldest ethnic groups, the Qiang. It's the tradition among the Qiang people to build their villages high among mountains, so they are also known as the people of the clouds. Another Qiang tradition is the worship of a sacred tree.
大这老恩是呢，是来是的是，他的这罗马路啊，他的这日路啊，他的这个日路啊，他的只是把那路啊那大子他这个就大是你儿子你国家是深水这个的兵啊，啊的儿子他日地那的儿子路一圈呢，这must be 这不 must be， 啊大子这个的大那子他。 这个的大子在深水这个的是病啊。
170 kilometers away, at the Sanxingdui Museum, there is another ancient tree. At 3.96 meters in height, it's the largest single bronze artifact ever discovered in China. It's known as the #1 bronze divine tree. Since 1986, a total of 8 bronze trees have been unearthed at the Sanxingdui archaeological site on the Chengdu Plain. But why did the ancient Sanxingdui people create these towering trees? In ancient Chinese mythology, and notably in the Shanhai Jing, or Classic of Mountains and Seas, mention is made of 3 divine trees that connect heaven and earth. They are called Fusang, Zhuomu, and Jianmu. Could the bronze tree discovered at Sanxingdui be one of them? The #1 divine tree at Sanxingdui comprises 3 parts: a base, the tree itself, and a dragon. The base is designed to resemble mountains, rising on 3 sides. They are decorated with sun designs and a cloud and mist motif. The divine tree is growing from a mountaintop and reaching to the heavens. The dragon is winding its way down the mountain. The divine tree is divided into 3 levels, each having 3 branches. These are further split into fruit-bearing branches, one pointing upwards with a bird perched on it, and others pointing downwards.
《山海经》记载的是树上浮木上有9只鸟， 这个鸟都实际上是运载太阳这个从东到西的一个运载工具。中国神话传说里面就把这个太阳跟这个神鸟挂上钩了，称之为是金乌。每天要从这个扶桑树上起飞一只鸟，从东到西飞到西方的若木树上，轮流值日，一共是10只金乌。我们这个1号神树上刚好残缺的有9只，那么另外一个在哪儿呢？2种说法，一个因为顶端是残缺了的，有可能是还有一只，但一般人相信另外一只应该不在，因为它必须有一只美，它得要去升天去值班，是吧？它要往西飞，要太阳要照耀人间。
What did the people of Sanxingdui expect of this divine tree connecting heaven and earth?
就是要升天，绝地通天的地面上的巫师或者是祭司，可以借助于这个神树，到升天去和神灵进行交流，向神灵进行汇报，然后天上的神灵也可以通过神树然后下凡人间来传达神的旨意。
Egypt is not a green land. The precipitation is extremely low, and deserts cover 95% of its territory. The southern Egyptian city of Aswan, lying on the east bank of the River Nile, is considered one of the birthplaces of ancient Egyptian civilization. It's also one of the driest places in the world. The Nile brings much needed vitality as it flows through the city. Aswan Botanical Garden is situated on Kitchener's Island. This island was once owned by Lord Kitchener, the British Consul General in Egypt. He transformed it into a garden where he cultivated rare plants from Asia and Africa. Egyptians have a deep-rooted tradition of loving plants and gardens. It's a tradition that can be traced back at least to the time of the pharaohs. Around 1350 BCE, during the reign of King Akhenaten, Tutankhamun's father, a noble named Nebamun built a garden. Enclosed by high walls, the garden provided protection from sandstorms and wild animals. It was meticulously designed on a geometric pattern. It was divided into sections by channels of water, creating a style of gardens within a garden. The sense of serenity and bounty was enhanced by a pool located within the garden, surrounded by lush fig trees, sycamores, date palms, and doom palms. In this garden, the evergreen plants symbolize the eternal cycle of life. During ancient Egypt's 19th dynasty, an official named Userhat served in the royal temple. On the northern wall of his tomb chamber, there is a massive mural. Userhat, his wife, and his mother are depicted sitting under a large tree, its shade providing them with shelter, just as it did in life. This tree is what the ancient Egyptians referred to as the Tree of Life. In appearance, it closely resembles a fig sycamore.
大部分学者相信呢，他们画的就是无花果树，就是因为现实生活当中无花果有药用，是很珍贵的木材，就是它现实生活当中的作用决定了人们在想象的世界里边也把它当成生命树的原型了。因为这个树它是根植于大地，又可以长得很高大，它们就产生了这种生命之源的想象。
The soul of the deceased, during its journey to the afterlife, would find rest beneath a sycamore tree. The soul was depicted as a bird with a human head, known as the Ba bird, and it represented all the qualities of the deceased. The goddess Nut, who was closely associated with the tree of life, would offer a goblet and a tray with various breads as sustenance. The ancient Egyptians believed that the tree of life could provide nourishment and healing for the deceased in the afterlife. This scene depicts both the soul and the body in a state of satisfaction.
我看到三星堆的神兽的时候，我第一个反应就是想到了埃及这个生命树，生命女神的形象。只不过埃及的那个呢，它是拟人化的，而且呢，我想它的寓意也是差不多的啊，寓意着植物，它因为能沟通天地和人，所以它应该给人们带来生命的希望，带来死后世界的这个各种各样的期许吧。
At the Jinsha Site Museum in Chengdu, Sichuan, there is a grove of carbonized trees. The more than 60 massive trunks were once buried deep in the sediment. In the course of thousands of years of carbonization, they were transformed into a state that seems to be neither stone nor wood. But 3,000 years ago, they towered as trees above the Chengdu plain, offering protection to the ancient Shu people. A civilization closely related to the Sanxingdui Shu civilization quietly emerged in the western part of what is today Chengdu. Scholars believe this was when the ancient Shu people moved their capital from Sanxingdui to Jinsha. Inside the pit, a massive piece of ebony lies alongside an ancient riverbed. This marks the location of one of the best preserved large-scale ritual sites from China's Shang and Zhou periods. Over 3,000 years ago, the ancient Shu people held ceremonies here. The proceedings were intricate. A vast array of precious offerings were presented, including gold, bronze, jade, stone, bones, and lacquered wooden artifacts. To date, more than 6,000 items have been unearthed here, of which the most surprising is several tons of ivory. Not far away, rituals are still performed today near sacred trees in ethnic Qiang villages in Aba, Sichuan. On important occasions, the Qiang people hold ceremonies to express their reverence for the heavens, the earth, all living things, and their various deities. The altar is typically constructed of white stones and is sited beside a sacred tree.
自神树在第二个阿子乐色得了病，乐色得了大的些，对单工的算那些，啊，大家会了的国家是阿子阿子国家是人民的大是胡说的很，啊，的这你黑的的找无路边是那其他的比，啊，的阿子阿太在主要是一些个去一些。一些阿是你基层就是那阿是你，咱们希望那是你为那阿是你自己的。哦，这个基本上下子你说，你这是你从那个你的兄弟的那个你的都，哦，不是那个就是。
In 1986, the number 2 ritual pit at Sanxingdui yielded an intricately designed bronze altar. The altar's bottom layer is supported by 2 divine beasts holding up a giant circular platform, symbolizing the earth. The middle layer features 4 shaman-like figures holding objects representing the human realm. On their heads, the 4 shamans bear triangular mountain symbols representing the heavens. On top of the mountains, there is a square temple with 20 kneeling worshippers around it, 5 on each side. Their hands indicate they are praying. The roof of the temple is decorated with totem figures featuring human heads and the bodies of birds, while phoenix-like birds decorate the corners, singing in the direction of a higher and farther realm. The entire bronze altar depicts a complete cosmic form comprising the realms of Earth, humanity, and the heavens.
当时古蜀国的某些祭祀场景，应该是表达的比较直接，就是人很多。当然，它也有想象的成分，比如神兽根本就不存在，对吧？但神兽是好几种动物的一种复合体。一些人抬着神兽，或者是在2号坑里面是神坛是神兽抬着巫师，这样一些表达一种天地互通的这样一种观念也好，或者场景也好，就是通过这些神坛还有神树。
In ancient Chinese legends, the divine tree Jianmu was said to reach up to the heavens and descend down to the netherworld. And in ancient Egyptian belief, the branches of a great tree reached towards heaven while its roots extended deep into the underworld. For people of several millennia ago, the vast world in which they lived was even more challenging to understand than the sky itself. On the west bank of the Nile at Luxor, in the Valley of the Kings, lies the resting place of the souls of the pharaohs of Egypt's new kingdom. A small entrance, labeled number 62, leads into the interior of the tomb of King Tutankhamun. His mummy still lies here, as if waiting for something. The ancient Egyptians believed that the soul of the deceased had to reside within the physical body to be reborn. To achieve this, the bodies were dehydrated to create mummies and prevent decay. They also constructed sarcophaguses, comprising multiple layers to encase and protect the mummies and await the returning soul after its long journey. The essential organs were often preserved separately in small vessels made of alabaster, known as canopic jars. The burial chambers of the pharaohs typically contained a wealth of funerary items intended for the deceased to use in the afterlife. A total of 5,398 items were found in Tutankhamun's 100 square meter burial chamber. To sustain him on his journey to the afterlife was food, stored in dozens of wooden containers. Tutankhamun was also provided with exquisite sandals to wear on his journey. Large numbers of livestock and slaves and large quantities of fruit and grain demonstrated the pharaoh's wealth and would also sustain him. The jackal-headed figure with a ribbon around its neck is Anubis, the guide to the underworld. He sits on a golden chest in Tutankhamun's tomb, having guarded it for over 3,000 years. Anubis is the god of mummies and the afterlife, as well as the protector of lost souls and the vulnerable.
Ancient Egyptians were believing in rebirth, resurrection. So everything was dedicated to afterlife. So they need anything to help them to have rebirth in afterlife. And one of the most important things for them, it was the tree of life. You will see the king kneeling beneath the tree of life, and he's holding the key of life, because all the branches of the tree ended with the sign Ankh, the key of life. If the God give you the key of life, it makes sure that you will be resurrected and get rebirth in afterlife.
Among the funerary items found with Tutankhamun was a lotus-shaped goblet made of alabaster. Inscribed around the rim are the following lines: "May your Ka live on. May you live for 1,000,000 years. You who love and live in Thebes. May you face the north wind, and your eyes look upon a beautiful place."
I want you to know that the belief of the afterlife for the ancient Egyptian built Egypt. Because of that belief, the Egyptians built tombs, pyramids, temples, because they will live forever. And this is why death for the ancient Egyptian is not the end, it is the beginning of life.
The people of both Sansheng-dui and ancient Egypt sought to transcend the boundaries of life by seeking a pathway for their souls to heaven. We are curious. Did this path lead to the past or to the future? Generation upon generation, they attempted to defy the erosion of time with constant progress. They made persistent efforts to ensure that their culture never died. The ancient Shu people transformed the power of their imagination into exquisite works of art, some of which have survived as fragments. Over 3 millennia later, archaeologists and restorers have pieced together the forgotten memory of this ancient civilization. The Sansheng-dui Artifacts Restoration Laboratory is the first open conservation and restoration center in China. Here, the actual process of restoring artifacts is showcased for the public to see. People are able to witness at first hand the restoration of artifacts and to understand the technical skills involved.
我们在平时在接触文物的时候，可能每一件文物它破损程度不一样，特别是我们三星堆的东西，它不是属于特别常见的东西，所以说就没有所参考的，它不是一个我们常见的规则性的器物。你没有一个完全固定的概念，你可能在修的时候，你心里还是有很多疑问或者问题，是不是这样的？这也是在无形之中增加了一些难度。
The first divine tree was unearthed from number 2 pit at Sansheng-dui in 1986. Initially, it was just a pile of bronze fragments. Trunk, branches, base, and other remnants squashed inside a pit. Many of the fragments were deformed as a result of impacts and burning. There were 2,479 pieces in total. The restorers spent a whole decade from 1986 to 1996 skillfully piecing them together, using their professional expertise to transform them into a majestic, towering tree. Today, to gaze up at this single largest bronze artifact ever found in China is to wonder at the fact that this tree, created over 3,000 years ago, would shatter and then become whole again, standing lush and vibrant it is symbolic of the enduring legacy of civilizations. The Philae Temple complex is located on Agilkia Island in Aswan. The oldest structure within the complex dates back to the reign of the founder of the last native Egyptian dynasty, Nectanebo I. Subsequent additions were made during the Ptolemaic dynasty of Greek rule in Egypt.
它的文明有一个漫长的衰落期，将近1000年的殖民地时期，他们默默地把自己最珍贵的传统文化做了长久保存的准备，刻到了神庙的墙上，抄到了纸草上，藏起来，准备好了这个文明衰落之后，1000年之后的考古学家，1000年之后的人们还能看到他们的思想轨迹。我们说一种比喻这些神庙就是古埃及文明的木乃伊。
The last hieroglyphics left by the ancient Egyptians found so far were discovered at the Philae Temple. For generations, they remained an enigma which defied anyone to comprehend. That was until 1822, when French scholar Jean-François Champollion, by deciphering the Rosetta Stone, finally unlocked the meaning of the intricate symbols. His breakthrough brought about a fresh interest in ancient Egyptian civilization. In the 1970s, the completion of the Aswan High Dam created a rising water level that posed a threat to the Philae Temple complex. In the 1980s, under a United Nations initiative, a collaboration involving multiple countries was launched. The entire Philae Temple complex was meticulously divided into sections and relocated to its present site. Trees, when depicted as connecting heaven and earth, give rise to many questions. One concerns the path followed by the lives and civilizations they represent. The people of Sanxingdui believe that crossing the heavens led to the realm of the gods. Where one could attain immortality and a blissful existence. The ancient Egyptians believed that all forms of life were intricately associated with the passage of time, like the changing seasons and the annual flooding in the Nile Valley. Survival, death, evolution. Such is the cycle of civilization and the passage of time. What the unrelenting flow of history reveals is humanity's enduring longing for the future.
I always believe civilization is just one tree.
Must be so. Must be.
一棵巨大的神树在一座高山上。
你看我的眼睛看着哪里？到底是看远方还是看自己？
就想问他，你到底是来自于何方？
Who we are, and hope that they're curious about us.